When did you first hear that guys like Lex Luger and the Road Warriors and the Midnight Express were all not only getting bigger checks, but guaranteed contracts? Because I know that, all of those guys have been very public about the fact that they had guaranteed contracts, and it doesn't sound like you and Tully at this point had one.
Well, no, I think if the timeline is correct, Lex Luger came into the company with a contract.
Right.
Which was, way prior to all of this going down. In a roundabout way, inadvertently, every one of us that has enjoyed a contract in the wrestling industry, guaranteed money, I guess owe it to Lex Luger and the Road Warriors. Because when Luger came in, he was put on a very nice contract. Not my place to say what it was, but we heard some rumors, and it was about 2.5 times what Tully and I were making. Obviously, the Road Warriors, who were the hottest ticket in town, found out about that. They negotiated a deal with Jim Crockett, which was more than what Luger had substantially. Had a very nice package, I think, times 3 years. So now those guys are getting huge guaranteed money, and we're still getting paid off the house. And I would dare say, without any hesitation, that without the Four Horsemen, it wouldn't have mattered what Luger and the Road Warriors were doing. There wouldn't have been nearly as much, I won't say a lot of success, but nearly as much success as what they had with the Four Horsemen package being plugged into the house shows every night and television.
I feel like we should mention that Tully Blanchard has said exactly what you've said many times, that, for whatever reason, the Road Warriors could go run a show and there would be some folks there, but it might not be a sellout. But when the Road Warriors were wrestling Arn and Tully, it was darn sure a sellout. And he took issue, I think, that especially with a guy like Lex Luger, who's really still learning his craft, you guys are the ones out there doing the heavy lifting, making him look good. He comes in with a guaranteed contract for a multiple of what you've got. And in reality, you're the secret sauce in the ring. And it feels like everybody at that point knows it except Crockett. Is that fair to say?
Looking back on it in retrospective, it's the way it looks to me now. Otherwise, why wouldn't he have fixed it when he had the chance?
Did you ever voice your frustrations about this, about, putting over the Road Warriors or Lex Luger, or guys who most would agree weren't quite the in-ring talent that you and Tully were at a fraction of the money? Did you express any of that to Dusty? I know you said you didn't, Jimmy, but what about David Crockett or Dusty Rhodes or Ric Flair?
Well, I have never worried about what anybody else makes. I never ask what anybody else makes. It's none of my business. I found out about it through the grapevine. And to be honest with you, the Road Warriors were over. I wanted to be wrestling the Road Warriors because I knew we were going to fill up the house to capacity. I had confidence in them and in confidence in us. Luger came in. I don't blame Lex for getting a guaranteed contract, whether that was presented to him as an incentive to come or whether he asked for it. I don't know what the real story is about that, but I don't hold it against him. Everybody's going to make, or should try to make, every dime that they can, just because careers are cut short, injuries happen. A lot of things can happen. Companies go out of business. You never know how long your run's going to be, and there's not much call in the workplace for a beat-up ex-wrestler, if you want to be frank about it. I didn't look at those guys as doing something shady. It's a business, and they negotiated themselves a hell of a deal. Like I said, I never asked what anybody made. I didn't care. I was making more money than I ever dreamed possible. That little 8-year-old kid who was just wanting to be a wrestler was being a wrestler now. And I wasn't actually worrying about what I was making because I looked at the houses, I looked at what my pay was, and it was substantial for those days. So Tully looked at things differently because Tully's dad had owned a territory and he was more on the business end, like we've spoke about before. Me, I was just a soldier out there butting heads, having a blast. And that's exactly what was happening. And Luger was a great asset. Luger was paid on potential and his look. And I think he would have to agree with that. Lex never became a great worker. He plateaued off at a certain level. And having the Horsemen around him as a supporting cast, we were able to disguise him, and he just looked like a big monster out there mowing guys down. And that's how we disguised him, and that's how we used him.
Here's the quote I was looking for earlier from Tully. It was not the fact of getting paid, it was signing contracts. When Turner was hiring and buying the company, he was signing people to big contracts, and other people had those contracts, but they didn't sign Arn and I to a contract. So it was job security as well as money. When you're the people who are selling tickets, when it's a sellout, when the Road Warriors are beating you up, and it's not a sellout when they're beating up somebody else.